What's going on, guys? This is Mr. DeLORIAN here. Welcome back to a brand new video. And today what I want to do is take a look at the new promo images for the Season 10 finale of The Walking Dead. Now, I know I'm pretty late to talking about these images since I've been busy with school lately, but I still want to talk about them anyway. So these images come from Skybound and The Walking Dead's Twitter, which I'll make sure to link both down below so you guys can go take a look at them for yourselves. So in these images, we have a lot of stuff happening. We have stuff with the hospital or tower, getting through the Horde and leading it away, and the train yard. So in one of the images, we have Daryl and Judith getting back to the hospital, and I could tell it's them getting back to the hospital since they have the exact same outfits on as they did in the end of episode 15 of season 10, when they were out in the woods, like, scouting and looking out for whispers and everything, and they got the call from Gabriel to run back. So I guess this is them, like, you know, running back to the hospital, and this is where they'll meet, like, you know, Carol and Kelly, because I think in the opening minutes we saw both of them, like, you know, Daryl and Judith and Kelly and Carol meeting up to run back inside the hospital, and I think the opening minutes. In another one of the images, we see one of the whispers inside the Horde with this, like, gigantic ass, like, beta looking knife, since, like, you know, beta also has, like, you know, big knives, and this, like, whisper right here inside the Horde, and this is, I'm assuming, them, like, you know, approaching that, like, tower or the hospital. But this whisper with this, like, knife and everything, and just how it looks through, like, the eyes, just the mask and everything, looks so badass. It also looks really scary since obviously, like, you know, our group is gonna have to go through this, and they're gonna have, like, you know, to watch out for whispers, like, you know, with, like, these gigantic ass knives. But this whisper and this, like, you know, the Horde and everything looks super badass but terrifying. In this group of images, we have, like, you know, there's so many images that I'm not gonna go through them, like, you know, one at a time, but we have pretty much a bunch of images of Ezekiel, Eugene, Yumiko, and the princess walking through the train yards and also sitting down. And this is them clearly looking for Stephanie and everything, and we get tons of shots of, like, you know, Eugene, like, you know, Yumiko, the princess, and Ezekiel. And while they're walking through the train yards, it's clearly them, like, you know, looking for Stephanie or looking for which, like, you know, which cart Stephanie could be in. And with the images of them sitting down and everything, Eugene, like, being in front of them, giving all these talks, and Yumiko and, like, you know, Ezekiel looking pretty hopeless and everything, or, like, annoyed. I assume that, like, you know, while they're sitting down, this is when they're starting to get hopeless of not being able to find Stephanie or her group and everything, and Yumiko and Eugene and the princess even, which for the princess is going to be weird, and I think since she's usually a very hopeful character, so is, like, you know, Ezekiel. But I'm assuming while they're sitting down, they're going to be discussing the fact that, like, you know, we missed the meeting and everything, we might as well go back, and Eugene's obviously going to be very, like, sad and everything, or probably wanting to go on still. But obviously, like, you know, shortly after that, they're probably most likely going to get, like, you know, guns pointed right at them or anything, and lights, like, shining on them, saying, like, you know, put your weapons down by the Commonwealth. But I can't wait for that sequence, because that's going to be, like, amazing, especially them, like, you know, walking through the train yards and everything, since it looks very, like, I'm not sure if ominous, or I don't know, I never pay attention to English class and anything, so I don't know many words. But it's definitely gonna be very interesting and, like, you know, awesome, especially when the Commonwealth show up. But when we go inside the hospital, we get a bunch of images of Daryl and Jerry and everything with, like, both of them with, like, you know, their jackets on, or their kind of gut-covered jackets. So this is clearly before they leave to, you know, go outside into the Horde, obviously, because they're gonna, like, you know, splatter guts all over their, like, you know, jackets, or, like, these jackets that they find inside the hospital to, you know, not be, like, you know, spotted by, like, you know, walkers, but obviously they'll be spotted by whisperers. We also get some images of the group, like, you know, gathered around, like, a walker and everything, putting guts inside of, like, you know, a barrel and everything to be able to, like, you know, hand it out so everyone can, like, you know, splatter it on themselves. We have Kelly, Judith, Carol, Patrice, and I'm assuming Daryl, like, you know, and Jules and Luke all inside this room right here and everything, gathering on, like, you know, guts and everything to be able to, like, you know, go onto the Horde. And the door behind Carol in this shot specifically, I feel like is the door they're gonna go outside of, or it might not be. It might also be the door that, like, you know, we saw in, I think, another trailer where, like, you know, Judith was putting her hand up against Daryl, like, you know, or up against, like, you know, a window to, like, Daryl. We get this nice shot of Kelly and everything talking to Judith, or more of so, like, you know, having a bit of a moment with Judith and anything before obviously he goes out, or, you know, she goes out into the Horde. And it's actually gonna be a very nice moment to see, like, you know, them have, like, a moment, because I think the last time we saw Judith and Kelly have a moment was in, I think, season 9, episode 6, I think, when Kelly and, like, you know, her group were first brought to Alexandria. We get a shot here of Lydia and everything, and this is clearly, like, you know, the same, like, you know, position she was sitting in while, like, you know, Judith and Kelly were having their moment. And by the looks of it, it doesn't look like she's gonna go onto the Horde since she doesn't have, like, a gut covered jacket on. So I wonder what her role is gonna be inside the hospital, or if she's just gonna go out on her own into the Horde. We next get the shot of Judith inside, like, you know, the hospital and everything, well, like, with Daryl on the other side, like, this kind of very nice moment with, like, you know, Judith and Daryl saying goodbye to each other for now, at least, and they're putting their hands up against the glass. I thought this scene was very nice when we saw inside the trailer, just because, like, you know, I don't know, I just thought was really nice. We see Gabriel behind Judith right here. We get this shot of like, a bunch of walkers hitting up against the glass door and everything. And I think this is the exact door that they're gonna go through to get out into the Horde, and then like obviously they're all gonna start caving in, because I think we did see a shot of this door, or like, in another trailer or in an earlier trailer with, I think, Jerry opening this door out into the Horde. Next in the hospital, we get Gabriel and Judith having a bit of a moment, and I'm assuming this is before, like, Gabriel says, like, Judith and, like, the rest of everyone go and everything. I'll hold the whispers off, because it looks like, they're having a bit of a moment. Gabriel has a shotgun and everything that he's gonna obviously point at the door before the whispers, like, burst through in, like, that other trailer that we did see. And can't wait to see a moment before that, like, with them and everything, because I don't think we've really had any, like, Gabriel and Judith moments. I think a lot of people did point out that there was a moment with, like, Gabriel and Judith when, like, and I think a No Way Out and everything in season 6, when the walkers started invading Alexandria and everything, and they, like, Gabriel brought Judith towards safety. So it's gonna be nice to see them, like, have a moment here. We also see a group of people, some people from Oceanside, I think one person from Alexandria, holding this, like, rope and everything, pulling this rope back and everything. We see Judith standing right in the middle of the room. I can only assume that they're pulling, like, a rope to hold the doors shut to make sure no whispers or walkers could get through, because I couldn't imagine no other reason that they would actually be, like, pulling ropes or anything besides, I don't know, I just can't think of another reason. In the next couple of shots, we do get pretty much Gabriel pointing his shotgun at the door and everything. This is clearly after he told everyone to go back and everything. I'll hold them off. Then the next two shots, we get the whispers bursting through the door. We get 3 whispers, not 1, not 2, but 3 whispers bursting through the door, running at Gabriel. Now, obviously, Gabriel's gonna hit one whisper to the side, and I think we did see that in a trailer where he's gonna, like, hit one to the side. But I do wonder what's gonna happen with the other 2 whispers. Like, maybe they're gonna, like, hold back for a little bit and everything and strategize, or they're all gonna run at Gabriel and overpower him. But it's just cool, like, nonetheless and everything, because I cannot wait for this whisper versus, like, Gabriel fight. But out in the Horde, we do get this shot of Daryl and Kelly, and I can tell it's Kelly because, like, Kelly's the only one that I know that put on a whisper mask before they did go out into the Horde. And we do see Daryl and Kelly walking through the Horde right here, and they're all looking down at this one thing. And what is this one thing that they are looking down at? It's clearly someone dying, since obviously it's a ton of walkers crowding around. We see a walker, like, grabbing down at something, so it's clearly someone getting eaten alive. Now, who is this person getting eaten alive? Now, like, out of all the people we've seen, like, outside of, like, the Horde and all these images and all the trailers, we know Luke, Kelly, we know Jerry, Daryl, and, like, everyone else pretty much makes it out and everything. We never see Patrice out on the other side, so I heavily assume that this is Patrice getting, like, killed and, like, ripped apart by walkers and everything. And obviously, we see, like, Kelly and Daryl walking by, looking out at looking in horror at what's happening. And obviously, a whisper is gonna stab, like, Patrice and everything. It's pretty, like, known at this point that that's gonna happen. That, like, obviously, Patrice isn't just gonna fucking just start getting killed. Obviously, she's gonna be like stabbed and everything, and she's gonna scream. In the next few shots, we do get a carriage, or, like, a carriage and everything leading the Horde away. And this is clearly after everyone makes it out of the hospital or out of the tower and everything, and is on the other side of the Horde, and, like, got to, like, the carriage and everything to lead the Horde away. We do see on the cart, we do see, like, speakers, I think an explosive barrel, and this is clearly to, like, lead the Horde away with, like, noise and anything, with obviously these speakers probably playing, like, noises or music, and the explosive barrels to maybe destroy the Horde, or, just, like, also to, like, create noise to lead them away by exploding them, kind of like Daryl did in episode 1 of season 8. And with this cart, we do see Daryl, I think Marco, I'm not sure what his character's name is. We also see a character in front of Daryl that I'm not sure what his name is. We see Kelly, we see Jerry, and I'm assuming maybe Luke or someone else behind Jerry. Now, this looks really badass with them, like, because clearly, like, triumphant music and everything's gonna be playing as they're leading the Horde away, and it's just gonna be awesome. I cannot wait to see this. We get the shot of a bunch of walkers, like, leading clearly behind of, like, the carriage or carts. And, inside of this, like, cart and everything, we are gonna see some whispers, like, come out of it eventually and start killing off people, because obviously in other shots and trailers we do see, like, launching arrows back at, like, the car, or not back at the car, but back into the Horde. So they're not just gonna kill walkers or whispers, because they have a plan to get rid of the walkers and everything, so clearly they're gonna be shooting at whispers and anything as they start coming on killing people. And I highly feel like Kelly and, like, not Kelly, I feel like Jules and Luke are gonna get killed by whispers, because they were all very highly theorized to die and everything. And I feel like this is, like, since they made out of the Horde originally of the hospital, I feel like they're gonna die from whispers and inside, like, you know, leading them away. But we get the shot of Carol, and clearly, I think Jules and everything with bows and arrows and everything, looking back at the Horde, making sure the Horde's staying with them. And since these shots of them leading the Horde away are all in the day, and we do get some shots of them leading, like, you know, the Horde away during the night also, I do feel like this will be like them leading the Horde will go all the way into the night and everything. And I feel like during the night, that's when the Whisperer shit is gonna start going down, and that's when shit's gonna start going horribly wrong. Because during the day and everything, the Whisperers want to stay inside the Horde and everything to make sure that they could, like, you know, get, like, you know, a feel and everything. Since, like, because obviously during the night it'll be hard to see the Whisperers, like, you know, as they come out of the Horde. So I feel like during the day it's just gonna be, like, you know, leading the Horde towards, like, you know, the cliff or the explosion site, and then during the night, that's when they're all gonna start coming out, killing people and everything. It's gonna be fucking horrific, but really cool, I guess. But in the final, or at least, like, you know, the last shot of this entire, like, you know, breakdown, we get the most the scariest shot of the entire one. Well, maybe not the scariest, but, you know, we have Carol standing on this kind of rock, like, cliff, maybe. I'm not sure how high these rocks are, but just wait. So Carol's standing on these like, you know, the side of this, like, you know, rock hill cliff, maybe. Now I honestly say it's a cliff because obviously, like, you know, it just looks like a cliff and everything. And Carol's standing on the side of this and everything, and I feel like she's going to maybe try to lead the Horde off of the cliff and maybe even volunteer to kill herself and jump off to, like, you know, get the Horde off of the cliff and everything to get them, make sure they do not turn around. But obviously with the news of the Daryl and Carol spinoff, obviously Carol is not gonna die or kill herself or jump off, like, you know, the cliff. So maybe it's gonna be a very epic moment where she's leading the Horde away and everything. She's closing her eyes, ready to, like, you know, jump off or go over with the Horde. And maybe Daryl or, like, you know, maybe even Lydia, since I know, like, they have some, I guess, beef to squash or a moment to have where they truly need to have a moment to have closure on, like, Carol sending Negan to kill her mother. So maybe Daryl is gonna, like, you know, have a moment with Carol and everything, since they haven't ever since, I think, the cave. They're gonna have a moment where Daryl's like, you know, come off and everything, like, you know, come with me and everything. I'm not gonna let you go over. Some nice moment like that. Or Lydia's gonna have a moment with Carol to get her away from, like, you know, the cliff and everything, just as the Horde's about to go over and get them. And the Horde's just gonna go over the cliff. It's gonna be an epic moment and everything. Explosives possibly will go off. But those were all the images and everything that I got from Skybound Twitter and everything. I feel like there were more. I think I could swear I heard there were more images and everything, and I didn't get it. I might have not gotten them all. So if there were other images and everything, make sure to link them down below and everything if you guys do, like, you know, find out. But yeah, those were all the images and everything. There were some really good ones in here, especially with, like, you know, leading the Horde away and everything. Gabriel versus, like, you know, the Whisperers. The nice moments before, like, you know, they leave for the hospital or leave from the hospital to go into the Horde. Them going through the Horde and everything with that one possible death, which yet again I strongly think is Beatrice. That moment with Carol on the side of, like, you know, the cliff and everything. I really wonder, and I do want to know what will happen with that, but obviously we'll have to wait till October 4th, which is really not that far away, which honestly, like, I'm so hyped but so scared also for the Walking Dead season 10 to end, because after, like, you know, the season 10 finale and everything, it's like until the 6 extra episodes, it's done until season 11. And I do have some info on the 6 extra episodes, which I'll make a video on later this week. But like I said, these images were awesome, especially with, like I said, and everything, all of, like, you know, that I mentioned, obviously, with, like, you know, them going through the train yards. But yeah, that was all for today and everything. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more of the latest in the Walking Dead universe and more breakdowns like this, because obviously more images and trailers will be coming out before the episode airs on October 4th at 9 p.m. And yep, I'll see you guys later, my amigos, and peace out.